One trade can change everything.
Hello everybody, welcome to today's market update. Before we get started, I want to thank our partners at BitGet. You can use our link in the description below and get 20% off trading fees for life. Okay, so with that said, we'll go ahead and dive right in. As you guys know, I was looking to do some kind of like a deviation play on a higher time frame here that I had planned for quite some time here. I'm not going to talk too much about this because I've already said quite a bit, but we have this deviation plan here. This did not happen, and I talked a lot about like sort of my invalidations for that and what I was looking for in terms of, you know, should we really be bullish here, or should we look for some kind of a retracement towards the downside to take out these equal lows. So we'll go ahead down to like a lower time frame, and I just want to talk, you know, very briefly about this, but then as well I want to show you kind of my thought process and why I'm thinking these things. So some of the key levels here, previous week, I think is going to play a really, really big role for this week's price action and determining if we want to, you know, remain bullish or not, or, you know, whatever. And as we can see, the previous week low, it actually overlaps with the monthly open. So that's some really, really nice confluence there. But really, you know, a handful of trades that I would really like to trade would be, reclaim the weekly open, shows a sign of strength, okay? A sweep or a deviation of the previous week high would be a sign of weakness. We want to, if price gets above here, we want to see it hold and have continuation. And then the previous month high is a super, super key area of support. I don't really want to see price come down and lose that level. And if it does go below it, I don't want to see it spend a whole lot of time there. So a handful of plays, right? Of course, the deviation play over previous week's high, but then we could also have a sweep or a deviation play of previous week low that I would be looking for, potentially taking out these lows. So I want to give you guys a little bit of context with that and show you something that I drew out here. But as well, I'm going to bring up this local channel that we have that I think is very important right now, and go ahead and draw out some of these things. So this blue line here is the value area for this price action up here. Okay, this is the value area low for that price action. And basically I would be looking at one of a handful of things to happen here. The little bit more bullish scenario, and I really like this, and I'll show you guys how this has played out before, is if we do get a move down here to the previous month high, which is also the value area high. I'll just go ahead and draw it out. You can see the value area high, the previous month high, as well as the bottom of this trend line here for this channel. We get a move down here. People are expecting us to do, let me clear this out. We get a move down here. People are expecting us to come down and sweep. That doesn't happen. Instead, we hold the trend line and we look for a move up. Key take profit at the midline in the weekly open. If reclaimed, we simply look higher. Okay. Second scenario is maybe we do actually get the sweep. So people come down in here. They're heavily longing in this zone, but we still actually get the sweep to the downside where we do a sweep or a deviation play of the previous week low, reclaim, look to reclaim the previous month high as well as the channel, and then again continuation to the upside. So those are going to be my two very key zones right now, is, you know, in here, and then especially, you know, basically below the previous week low, where we would either see a sweep or a deviation of the level for some degree of a long position, right? My two key levels here. Again, I do think that like a lot of people would very much, if we did get a retracement, expect some kind of a sweep. So my very first play is definitely going to be holding this zone for a long, and, you know, looking to have some immediate continuation to the upside, you know, where that trade looks kind of something like this, right? This will be my first instinct as a trade. And what would be ideal even is if we did have some kind of like immediate continuation to the downside today, we formed, you know, sort of a Monday low, and then on Tuesday we swept that low down to here, or Wednesday, and then we sort of had our move to the upside. So that would work really nicely with the Monday range as well. But we'll just sort of have to wait and see how this plays out. And I want to show you guys just very briefly an example of this setup and how it played out on a different asset, LTC, quite some time ago. This was a really, 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 really long time ago. But you can see the similarities here. This is just so nice. So you have this like sort of this trend line holding here. You have this move, and then you have this significant move to the upside that was totally retraced. And the majority of people at the time, myself included, were looking for some kind of a sweep of these somewhat equal lows in here. And that sweep never came. The trend line wound up holding the level, and then we had massive continuation to the upside. Now, obviously, LTC and BTC are at very different positions for example, from like when this happened here, but I still really like this idea because, again, you know, the large majority of people would be looking for a sweep of the level, and instead they get sidelined waiting for that sweep that never comes, and then immediate continuation to the upside. So if we go ahead, you know, back over to BTC here again, you know, you can just see the immediate similarities where, you know, we have this really nice sort of, a lot of these lows here that are just like begging to get swept out. So we get this move down here, and instead of getting this sweep that never comes, we hold the level and then have immediate continuation to the upside, leaving a lot of people sidelined. I would want to see something like that where we come down, you know, a pretty immediate continuation from there where people don't really get a whole lot of time to enter. The other scenario, like I said, is if we do get that sweep, I want it to be very, very quick, and then we have to almost immediately reclaim the previous month high to still sort of give that, you know, sign of strength that we could still have some degree of continuation to the upside. And our final target, again, if you've, you know, haven't watched the last handful of my streams, is, you know, where am I ultimately looking at? If we're keeping this as simple as we possibly can, go off to a weekly time frame here. If we're keeping this as simple as we possibly can, we're ultimately looking at the very least to the midline, which there's a hell of a lot of confluence at the midline here that I'm not going to spend too much time talking about today. But the idea really, again, you know, I talked about this in my last live stream. You can see the similarities here where people were expecting a sweep and we had immediate continuation. Similarities here, people were expecting a sweep, we instead just had immediate continuation. So we're seeing some similarities to past price action on several, across different assets and things like that. But most simply put, when price reclaims acceptance back into a channel, you expect it to rotate to the midline and to the top of the channel here. So basically, that's why I'm going to mostly be looking for longs until I do see a significant sign of strength. And you know, I again, I know a lot of people are talking a lot about you know, funding rates and saying, well, the RSI is overbought or momentum indicators are overbought. And something I just want to point out to you is that, you know, if price truly is bullish, momentum indicators can be overbought for many days, weeks, or months. Funding rates can be largely positive for days, weeks, or months, until you do see some of those larger, more, let's say, like, you know, earth-shattering sort of retracements, you know, after a lot of open interest being built up into highs like this, where you have this incredible, you know, move down to the downside like that. You know, again, we would sort of have to probably see something like this and then do some sort of distribution for then a massive move to the downside like that, right? So, you know, of course, I'll keep you guys updated as we continue on, but I did just want to sort of touch on that sort of more local price action and give you guys some ideas of what I'm looking for. I'm definitely going to wait for Monday range to form and then sort of do a market update again with you guys tomorrow in the Discord to, you know, evaluate whatever more information the charts can give us. So as always, guys, thank you for joining me for today's live stream. And again, shout out to our partners at BitGet. 20% off trading fees for life by using the link below to sign up. Thanks again for joining me, and we'll see you guys in the Discord.